عصف الأنين بداخلي كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محنة تمر وكم كرهت مصابها لكن رأيت الخير يسكب في أنا كم مرة قد ضقت من عظم الباب.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين ما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, over the course of the last 2 years, there's been a ongoing request from brothers online and even myself personally to request transparency from the charity sector. And even those brothers who are influencers requesting money on behalf of the Ummah, there needs to be a conscious effort from all of us to set a new standard. And about 2-3 months ago, and I could be wrong, it may be longer, forgive me if I haven't got the exact dates, there was a campaign run by the Muslim Collab requesting equipment to support them with their channel and their events. And I, happily endorsed them. And there was a condition from myself, and these brothers obviously are already upon the same wavelength, that we would support ourselves by presenting documentation once we spend all the money that's been generated. So today, Hayakumullah, Brother Muhammad, how are you, brother? You right? Allah Yubarik. And he's happily, got together with us to account for the funds that have been raised. Now, as a disclaimer, and Brother Muhammad will go into it, there wasn't a huge amount that was raised, but we're setting a standard. So principally, even if it's 2,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, as Muhammad will explain, he's got more knowledge than me on this particular matter, it will follow the same course of action. So Muhammad, Hayakallah, Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing?
Wa alaikum salam, I'm good.
So explain, and again, we're here today to set a standard, right? We're all concerned with the influencers, request for money, du'at and mashayikh, and even the charity sector, which obviously naturally leads in. So how is it that, and again, as an accountant, what would you advise these brothers who are requesting money on behalf of the Ummah? How should they behave, and what should be the plan going forward, especially when it comes to abuse, and we know there has been abuse. How would you request them to behave?
So I think it's quite simple, like what we're doing here with ourselves, is that once you've collected money, you have a right to tell people where that money has gone.
Of course.
If people request evidence and things like this, as long as it's feasible, you should be providing some sort of breakdown of where that money's gone.
Of course.
To make sure that you're not exploiting and doing these types of things. We've seen in the past, we've seen the cases where people have taken hundreds of thousands and gone away. And
just recently in Germany.
It happens all the time. So there has to be a level of transparency. With ourselves, with the fundraiser that we did do with the Muslim Collab, we started, I think, in the middle of December. If I'm right, it's the 12th of December that we started.
So again, my maths was off then, so 6 to 7 months then.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fundraiser, I think, finished in the last week of March. So that's the last payment that we received.
Okay.
Throughout that period. So in that 3.5 month period, in total received £1,505.04.
Alhamdulillah. To the penny.
Yeah. The total equipment that we spent, so you'll have these invoices.
It'll be shared on screen. So as you're talking,
the breakdown of how much we received. I think we used Ko-fi or Stripe to do the fundraiser, and the total equipment costs, which was some cameras, SD cards, some bags, was £1,748.97.
Okay.
So we actually ended up spending more. The additional amounts were covered by some of the brothers, some of the cash donations that we received, which was £243.93.
Okay.
So alhamdulillah, we were able to cover all the costs that we needed to cover the cameras. Like I said, all the costs that we needed for furthering our dawah initiative, inshallah. It took this long. It was quite simple.
Of course.
From an accounting point of view, if there was, let's say, £100,000 worth of transactions, it's slightly harder to gather all the invoices.
Okay.
But you have to do them for accounting purposes anyway. So when you go to give your accountant a breakdown of your total cost for the year, your income, naturally people will save their invoices. You'll be surprised how organized a lot of business owners and people who run these charities are.
Of course.
Because at any time, I think it's 6 years worth of record keeping you have to keep.
Okay, so you got to be archived for 6 years.
Yeah, so this is from a business point of view. I'm not sure if the charity regulation is exactly the same, but I would assume it is.
Okay.
For 6 years you have to keep the record keeping. So if any of that in that time anyone comes and does an investigation, HMRC or the Charity Commission or whoever, comes and says, okay, break us down where these costs are. We believe this is incorrect. It doesn't meet the thresholds that we think are reasonable for someone of a business your size.
Okay.
Then you'll give a breakdown of the invoices and your bank statements, and you have to give all these things.
Okay, so it's something that's it's a normal process. The compliance side of it, it's not that it changes. To a certain extent, like you said, it gets a bit more difficult if it's like 100,000, but you'll still keep those documents.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to for 6 years.
Yeah.
Now, you've got the documentation there, right? I'm going to share it on screen where everyone can view. So you could break down the cost per the invoices and obviously as the amounts that you've obviously mentioned. So can we break down the first invoice so it'll total up to exactly how much did you say we spent?
So the total invoices are £1,748.
In total?
Yeah, 97 pence. Okay. So just under 1750.
1750. So what did we spend and how did we spend it?
So the invoices that we have in total are 3.
Are 3 invoices?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first invoice was a Lumix camera.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I don't know exactly how much it was, but it was about 1,500.
It'll be on screen anyway. It'll be on screen.
It's about £1,500.
Okay.
Then there were some SD cards.
Okay.
So because naturally when you have the cameras, you need SD cards inside the cameras.
Memory,
so we bought 2.
Yeah.
That was, I think, about £150 roughly, and then 2 bags. So those bags, I think, were about £60 in total.
Okay.
The reason we had 2 is because we do have another camera as well that we have.
Okay.
That camera was funded by the brothers. So that camera itself. So it's not only that. This is another thing as well, that you just ask all the time. Yeah. Okay. We alhamdulillah had this funds in order to buy this additional camera.
Yeah.
But we brothers were able to come together and purchase another camera as well. So it's not about just constantly going to the ummah and asking.
That's right. We should also contribute.
The brothers earn. The brothers have good jobs. So you can put money together in order to buy it. So that's why there was 2 discs, SanDisk memory cards, and 2 bags.
Okay.
And so 1 camera was purchased through here, and 1 camera the brothers put money together to purchase.
So you've seen all the invoices on screen. It wasn't difficult, was it, Brother Muhammad?
Very simple, yeah.
Okay. So naturally it leads on to my other question, because I've got some invoices that I discussed with you off camera, right? And we did go over, the breakdown and how it should be broken down to the extent that we are aware of where the money's been spent, especially when it's connected to charity money.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these event companies are funded by charities, and again, we'll deal with that in another video. So my question to you, and again, I'm not asking you to sort of go over to the other side, because you did, as per disclosure purposes, that you don't really deal with the charity annual returns.
Yeah.
But is it fair to say, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, that the principle will be the same as per business annual returns? Principally, you need to keep everything the same. You have to have your documents archived.
If anything, the charities have more scrutiny.
They have more scrutiny.
Yeah, because they're meant to be charities. So there's different portals where you submit stuff through. So you'd submit it through the Charity Commission, not through Companies House. There'd be no corporation tax that they pay. But in terms of the regulation side of things, there's more scrutiny on them than normal businesses.
And one last question before we wrap it up, Allah Barik. You know the returns that they give to the Charity Commission via the portal that you mentioned, would it be just figures that they import and then they declare their return?
Yeah.
So it's not as if yes, you have to keep them, like you said, principally, you've got to keep them for however long. Maybe Charity Commission's regulations are different. Maybe 6 years, maybe...
So you would submit your profit and loss.
Profit and loss.
Which would basically is your costs versus your income. So all money coming in and waste being distributed.
Okay.
So it'd be divided into different categories, but there wouldn't be any invoicing that you give them unless they request it.
Unless they request it.
Yeah.
So it's all inputting figures, basically.
Basically. And your balance sheet. So the assets that you hold and stuff like this.
Okay.
So it's those 2 things that you send for business and for Companies House.
Okay.
And for, the Charity Commission.
The Charity Commission.
So essentially the breakdown of both of them that you give them. If they see irregularities, then they would come and do an inquiry.
They do an inquiry. And there has been inquiries, right?
There's inquiries going on
recently,
all the time.
penny appeal, compliance, the case in Germany. I had my own case with Hamza's Den. There was situations that we had to obviously get to the bottom of certain fundraising for over 2-3 years. Now, the standard now, just to wrap it up, do you believe that we have given too much husnul dhan, and hence why we've kept our guard down and that the abuse and the exploitation has been rampant? Or is it because they've been smart and crude themselves and they've been able to obviously, use Islamic jargon, terminology, and kept us like a bit, gun shy as to we can't ask because it's connected to a charity or Palestine or Syria. What's your opinion, my brother?
Personally, I think that the reason that they don't get too many questions is because of the structure of things, because there's a charity commission to do that.
Okay.
And the charity commission's job on a governmental sense is to oversee them.
Yeah.
That's the only accountability that they have.
That's right.
So on a state level, that's all they have to tick off.
Okay.
So when an individual goes to them and says, okay, give me a breakdown of this, they will say, look, we can't do this to every single person.
Yeah.
It'll take too much time, too much admin. And then the operation costs will increase. And then we have to say, oh, we've spent more money on this stuff. But at the same time, there needs to be accountability for them. So yeah, I think it's a mixture of a lot of things.
Okay.
But from their point of view, it's probably that they think that we've ticked off the box that we need to tick.
Per the charity commission.
That's the only problem that we're going to have.
Okay.
Legally.
So from the Sharia side, it's the charity commission has its own rules and regulations, and the Sharia in terms of compliance is different. They could comply with the charity commission, and for them it's good enough. But then obviously they have to remember they are a Muslim charity collecting an amana, collecting zakat and sadaqah. So then there's a different rules and regulations when it comes to the Sharia. So if they're collecting, then rest assured if they get asked.
That's the thing though, there's nothing of that sort
that they need to provide,
which has to they have to provide.
Yeah. So that's where we would say we've got the disagreement as such.
Yeah.
Okay. And it opens the doors to exploitation as well, because as long as they're providing the bare necessity to the charity commission, like they got retained for future use when it comes to the charity commission, we don't know where that money is going. We don't know what projects they're going to spend it on. So it could be very vague and ambiguous, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So
even if you wanted to.
Yeah.
From an
advise us, Aki.
From an accounting point of view, you could money launder money through a company, and the charity commission would have no problem with it because they wouldn't understand what's happening if you wanted to.
All right.
Like many companies, many charities, they take money out of a company. The charity commission or Companies House or HMRC would never know that they're doing what they're doing. It's just some of them are caught and some of them aren't caught. Okay. From an Islamic point of view, a single penny of that is incorrect.
Yeah, so it's the amana that you're wukala, you're representing. Exactly. You can't be playing around with the money.
It's essentially
abuse of trust.
Abuse of trust. So the point there is that they could easily do that and not be caught out, but the charity commission should be fine with it.
Yeah, exactly. Legally they're fine.
It's a major sin.
It's a major sin.
It's a weird reality, isn't it, where these companies are collecting the charity and then it's all about pumping money in and trying to get as much as you can. In the past, it wasn't like this.
It's more sincerity back in the past, I think. There wasn't that.
It was more individuals or the state.
Elders.
Usually.
Elders were like, we're talking about elders that came when they raised money for massages and whatnot. I believe there was more sincerity involved. Now, because of the age of social media and the dopamine and fame, and you know what I mean, it's a whole different reality, isn't it? So, any last words, my dear brother, so we can bring this to a close, inshallah ta'ala?
Not much, to be honest with you. So that's the breakdown of all the stuff that we've had, inshallah.
That's the transparency. That's the standard. Brother Muhammad here has given us his time, Allah barik feek, to go over the figures. Okay, you might argue, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying your work is worthless, but they could say, well, there's only 3 invoices. No, you have to always cover all bases and all avenues. They could say, well, there's only 3 invoices. If you had 10,000 or 20,000, would you still do it? What would you say to that then? If it was 30,000, if it was 40,000, would we follow the same direction and same methodology? You
wouldn't need a breakdown of every single invoice, even if it was just the major invoices. So the major, you wouldn't have to go through, okay, he spent £20 on Wix. If money laundering or these things are going to happen, they're going to happen with the invoices which are triple figures.
Exactly.
4 figures, 5 figures. So you would only look through certain invoices.
But for charity and zakat,
same thing.
Yeah, for charity commission.
You would probably look at like we were talking about the events companies, where the money's going. You look at how much they've spent on that versus the total amount of income they received.
So it's open to abuse. It can be exploited.
Of course, but you wouldn't have to go through every single invoice.
Yeah, exactly.
You would only go through
the major ones.
And they would give you the crux of the.
So that's the foundation, basically. So we just got to be careful. It's not to say that me and you sitting in this office, tabarakallah, are going to resolve all the issues. But as an ummah, we have a right to ask, right? And hisab is important, transparency is important. And if you're collecting the zakat, which is the haqq of Allah, just remember that. Zakat is the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to answer where that money is going. If you don't answer, then that just shows that there is suspicion. And we've found many cases, but ultimately, let's just leave it for another day. If you are doing it, you'll be held to account on the day where there'll be no shade apart from Allah's shade, and there'll be a massive reckoning. And we want Allah to save us from any punishment, any adab. We want His rahmah and His maghfirah. So that's it. Everything's there. And I will make an effort, providing that I do raise money, if I ever do, that I will follow the same direction. I have brothers around me like Brother Muhammad and other brothers that will be advising me to follow this course and direction, because we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we don't want to behave like the rabbis and the monks of the previous nations. So I'll bring this to a close. Muhammad, Allah yabarik feek. Allah reward you, habibi. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.
ليس الغريب غريب الشام واليمن، إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن، إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن، سفر بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني، وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني، ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني، وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني، تمر ساعة